when somebody says, God can't need you, God can't, your mitzvahs, Hashem can't be lacking anything. He can't be chasser, he can't be missing. What's the best response?
Number of things. Number one, what do you mean he can't be? Who are you talking about? You're telling the Eibishter what his rules are? That he can't be chosed, he can't need anything. If he wants to need, he needs. What do you mean he can't? What kind of language is that? That's number one. Number two, we're not talking about the Eibishter's existence needs help. Of course he exists without us, Kaidim Shenivra Olam, and he'll be after the world is not. Avada, he'll exist without us. That's the Yud Gimel Ikrim. We don't make him smarter, we don't make him older, we don't make him stronger, we don't make him bigger. That means that he has no kavanah, he has no plan, he has no purpose. Then he's a getchke.
But this is where the word need throws people off.
Okay.
Because it's implying, like, I need food, and if I don't have food, he won't exist. So if he doesn't have services, he won't exist.
So don't be so childish.
Okay.
You need food in order to live, which means you don't really need food. Food is not your true need. That's why it's a chesaron. You need it to get to what you really want. The Eibishter doesn't need something to get to where he really wants. But what he really wants, he really wants. And the other question is like this. What do you mean the Eibishter needs nothing? So he created the world? He gave us Torah and mitzvahs? He's punishing us if we don't do Torah and mitzvahs? What is that all about? So the answer is he wants. Rotzen Elyon. Right? Torah is a Tzeinei Shel. How can you want something if you're perfect? It's the same question. And you're not answering the question by saying he wants.
Well, the answer, he wants it for our benefit.
Doesn't matter what he wants it for, but he wants. Where does that come from? If he's too perfect to need, he's too perfect to want. So you say, no. He wants it not because of a weakness, he wants it because of a gutzkeit. That's what I'm saying. He needs it for a gutzkeit. Why is that any worse than wanting for a good? Okay. Or in other different words. The question of how could the Eibishter want is just as strong as how can the Eibishter need. On the other hand, if you're content and you're comfortable with saying the Eibishter wants, but he doesn't need, then you're making chayzik. Where he wants something that isn't necessary. So if you have a problem with the word need, verstehe. I understand. It sounds like, okay, fine. What word do you want to use to describe the fact that the Eibishter is never without? There's no Eibishter without Torah. It's not optional. What word do you want to use? That mitzvahs are necessary to the Eibishter? Okay, is that better than need? That mitzvahs are essential to him? That it is him? That a reisa v'kutshabrichu kulachad sounds better? But what does kulachad mean? That you can't separate the two. Saying Rotzen Elyon suggests that he wants it. He doesn't have to have it. He doesn't have to have it. He is it.
So you're saying you're left with, this is the only word that would get the point across, although it's not the optimal word.
Does the Torah use the Lashon Tzerich Elyon?
Yes. Tzerich Gavoya.
Tzerich Gavoya. So how do you translate tzedek in English? Maybe it's not the best translation, but
So we understand how it could be misleading, but there's no option.
so think a little deeper. Don't be so childish.
Even though it could have ramifications, because it could sound like kfira, which is what's ruffling people's feathers. Like, because immediately when people think need, like we said, they think, oh, like I need for my existence. You say Hashem needs a mitzvahs, it makes it sound at first glance that if he doesn't get the mitzvahs, then he's not going to exist anymore.
So why isn't it kfira to say that David got angry? Why isn't it kfira to say that the Eibishter was upset? Because you're not talking to babies. You understand? Loi machshavei sai, machshavei seichem. But don't say the Eibishter doesn't have machshava. He doesn't think. So, oh, think. That sounds human. Where's the kfira? If you say the Eibishter can't exist without Torah, that's kfira.
So this is just in my understanding where things get really important and necessary. Because if you look in Rambam, in the beginning it says, Vim yal al hadas shuhu einer matzri. If you think a little more clearly or deeply, like the Rebbe says, you'll realize that God doesn't even exist himself. Because he created the whole idea of existence. So when you say something exists, it's already in the world of duality. There's existence and not existence. So Hashem has to create his own existence, which is a very important part of this whole conversation, because he doesn't need mitzvahs for his existence, because people think right away, if you say he needs it for his existence, and that's why it's clear if he doesn't have it, then he won't exist anymore. But according to the Rebbe's explanation on the Rambam, his existence is not the most important part of him, or there's something deeper than, and that's where the mitzvahs. So if you're worried about his existence, you should really be worried if the Torah mitzvahs don't happen and how necessary they are, because it's touching a deeper place. So we want people to get taken aback by the word need, because we're upping the ante. It's even much more serious and necessary or problematic. So I just wanted to clarify that.
That's a very sophisticated. Who are you going to talk to? That the Eibishter doesn't exist. That's already.
I listened recently to a shir from Rebbe Yoel, and he breaks it down exactly like. I think that's where the conversation ultimately has to get to at some point, because people are still getting stuck. It needs to graduate that even the idea of existence is not the most important thing. Like in our own selves, we have our body, which is our existence, our guf, but we have our tachlis hakavana, we have our neshama. The body is temporary, so our existence is not the most important thing to us. So Hashem's existence is not the most important thing to him. But how would you explain that, if you could, the fact that God created his own existence? Obviously not physical.
Whatever that means, everything he created was bishvil haTorah. Which means that before he created anything, including himself, he wanted Torah.
Didn't he have Torah? If you saw the he was one with it.
Torah in Maisa.
So that implies there's already an idea of Maisa or worlds, like we spoke about last time.
In his Ratzon, yeah.
And
his taiva, it all existed already.
So the Rebbe said countless times, especially in Basi Lagani, that taiva loy latz musay, liyos loy yisparach dir b'tachinim, that this taiva, this yearning, this desire, this need, call it what you want. He's obviously, and Jews have been sacrificing their lives.
Yeah, and everywhere where we say, aseh l'man shmecha, what does that mean? Loy l'man neinu, L'mancha. What's L'mancha? What does it mean, lishma?
A certain level of manifestation of God. That's what everyone tells me. Him, as he is in his essence, he's way above that. I say leman shmecha. Name is already lemancha, as you revealed in this world.
So you're twisting, you're bending over backwards to exclude him from.
I agree.
And it's childish to say, wow, we do mitzvahs without a reason. What do you need a reason for? That he wants it or needs it is a reason? That's a narishkeit. That's like embarrassing to even. No, we do it for no reason. What are you, stupid? You do it for no reason? You're an idiot. You don't do it for no reason. You do it because it's important to him.
No reason for me. Meaning?
No human reason.
Right, no schar, no einish. Yeah. I'm doing it for him. I don't need a reason.
Yeah. However, if he doesn't need it, then I do need a reason. No?
Exactly.
Then you better threaten me or something. It's pathetic. It's just, and you have to make that clear. This is not two shittas. It's pathetic. Maybe, just maybe, saying that the Eibishter doesn't really need a mitzvah is kfira mamish. It is. So I can't find that little piece where the Rebbe says, Dvarim Neiroim, or Loshen Neiro, Oyim, or whatever. Lemase Yadecha Tichseif. To the degree where Hechi Yisoni. I think this is also in the Kudi Ikris. Less machshava tfisa bei. Okay, so the subject is over. Less machshava tfisa bei. Forget about it. Less machshava tfisa bei means without Torah, without the Eibishter's kavana, there would be less machshava tfisa bei. There also wouldn't be a world. But if it's not for Torah, there wouldn't be Ma'aser Bereishis. But there is Torah, and because there's Torah, there is Ma'aser Bereishis. And because there's a kavana, the Eibishter makes himself known. And all the Lashonos in V'yeda kol pa'ol ki ata pa'alte. Less machshavat tfisa. So grow up. Less machshavat tfisa is the condition that would have been without Torah. That it says beferish in Tanya. Right?
Yeah. So you could grasp him, but not through your mind, but through the awakening of your heart.
So what are all the lashonos of das Elikei Avicha? Tanya says befedish. The Eibishter puts himself into Torah so that kol machshava tvisa be. So stop quoting me less machshava tvisa be. What are you, before Matan Torah? You're Mayach?
It's just so surprising when, like, other rabbis who on the internet who come out against it. He doesn't need it. It's not necessary. He doesn't need you. But if you don't do it, you're going to go to Gehenna. You're going to go to hell. Like, just on a very elementary level. That should just tie. Obviously, it's very important to him. Like, and they're taking a much different path of. But
so that night over there by the barbecue, this guy was saying, "No, that's the system. The way the system works. Eibishter doesn't care, but he has to work the system." Whose system? What? It's mamash avodah zarah. There are certain systems that the Eibishter has to live by. Schar and einish. What schar? What einish? What? No. There's schar and einish. Without the Eibishter. There's schar and einish that the Eibishter has to abide by. Yeah, if you don't do that, if you do an aveda, you get punished. It's a system. It's mamash avodah zarah. Some system exists.
So another counteraction that I get is when you do mitzvahs, like it says in Chassidus, you release Or Ein Sof. So it's Or, and Or Mein Hamar. That's not the deepest level of him. It's not Atzmos. Nothing affects Atzmos.
Where did that say? Where does it say? That's made up stuff.
Bli Geder, Etzem is not Neschalik. Like Atzmos just seems. So nothing touches it, in that sense, but yeah, there is Arnain. So just for once and for all, how do we define Or Ein Sof, and how does that play into this whole conversation? Like I know it's a little off track, but a lot of what we're saying we have in previous clips. So I've been getting this a lot lately about this idea of Or Ein Sof, and people seem to be confused, including myself. Like how does that fit into this picture?
Eir means gilui.
Okay.
Every gilui is a reduced presence of the essence, right? What is a megala? It's megala, the essence, the etzem. But it's a gilui of the etzem, not the etzem itself.
Okay.
So the Torah tells us in a number of places, like the Eibishter came down to Mitzrayim, loy al yedei malach, loy hu b'chveidei uva'atzmei, right? Not eir. So what does that mean? Ras hashivcha al hayom asher lo yira Yecheskel ben Buzi. What didn't Yecheskel see? He was a Navi. But Nevuah is a Gilui. It's a Gilui of the Etzem. Otherwise it's Shefa, not Oir. But any Gilui is already some movement or activity besides Atzmos.
So the Shivcha saw Atzmos.
Huh?
So the Shivcha Alayam, she saw Atzmos. What does that practically mean? What's like? The Navi has Gilui of Ar, and the Shivcha saw God Himself.
Ze Keli V'Anvei.
I'm saying, what did she see?
I don't know.
We weren't there.
Right.
I'm saying, but that's a problem with all the distinctions. Like it's splitting here and the cosmic.
But the Torah is splitting it.
But we don't know what the Torah is telling to tell us. Like we just said, we don't know what that means.
No, we don't know what it looks like. We know what it means.
So what does it mean?
It means Him.
What does that mean, though, Him?
Him means his Ratzon,
Okay.
because that's him. When you know somebody's Ratzon, no. But Mokim Sheratzeinei Shel Adam, Sham Hu Nimtza.
I'm saying, how did Kriyas Yamsuf reveal his Ratzon? That he made a miracle, made the water stand still?
That he saves the Yidden and punishes the Mitzvah. This is not an Eibishter that is indifferent.
They saw that by the Makkos, l'chayra.
Yeah. But by the Yamsuf, it was even more clear.
Right. So, not to push back too much, but like, see, this is sort of where I always get lost. Like, that's a perfect example. Shifcha saw more than Yecheskel saw, right? But when you're learning Chassidus and it quotes it thousands of times, probably, or hundreds of times, like, even just to define what that really means in order for that to have an impact of why you're learning it so many times, you can't wrap your head around it. So even this, like, going back to the Ur, when you do a mitzvah, it's Megala Ur Ein Sof, infinite, unlimited cosmic light. And now we're trying to take it to a whole new level that when you do a mitzvah, you're revealing his essence. There's so many of these distinctions which are not physical and tangible. So, and now we're coming along and trying to say, we're talking about God in his essence, and people are saying, well, and this is what I get all the time, including last night, you're oversimplifying it. That's what they tell me when I have the conversation. You're oversimplifying it. You learn the Samach Vav and the Ayin Beis, and it goes through levels, and even the idea about existence, Mitzias, Bilti, Nimtza, like, he's in existence, but he's, and Mitziyusai, Me'atzmusai, there's so many different levels, intricate, and pages when you learn Ranat, Samach Vav, and...
Therefore, how can you simply say he doesn't need?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I'm with you. To me, it all seems obvious. Like, it makes sense that this is really necessary, but the people who are very learned. So why do they say that you're oversimplifying something which is very deep and there's so many different levels? And
if it's very deep and there are many different levels, it means you haven't really understood anything. You're confused. You're overwhelmed with too much information. You don't know what you're saying anymore. It is very simple. If you don't see that it's simple, you're verblunget. Somebody's crazy here. I think they're not listening. And that's the bottom line. They're not listening. You know, they can say, oh, so there's no schar v'einish? You're not even listening. You're hung up on, I don't know what's wrong with you. You haven't heard a word.
Can we address that? It's a good time just like to address that clip of what I showed before. So you said many times based on on what the Rebbe said that there's no way that God is angry at any Jew today for any sin that they did after being in Gullus and giving you a Yetzer Hara, which he regrets making, according to the Gemara. There's no way that he punishes you or punishes a Jew for any sin that they do. So, like I said before, someone sends me a voice note, Yud Gimel Ikrim, that there is Char V'Oinish. Let's just like flesh that out a little bit, because it does sound shocking, especially to very religious Jews, when you say there's no way that Hashem's angry at any Jew today, punishing them for anything. It sounds like major whitewashing. Like I'm just trying to help them along, bring them.
The Rambam says that there is schar and einish, which means there is reward as well as punishment. So, who gets rewarded? You know anybody getting rewarded? We see everybody getting punished. It's like there's only punishment. There's no schar. Oh, in Olam Haba. Schar v'einish means if you deserve a schar, you get a schar. If you deserve an einish, you get an einish. Now, who deserves what? Don't tell me there's Yud Gimel Ikrim. Meretach wegen the Yud Gimel Ikrim.
Okay.
You say there's schar v'einish. So tell me, who gets schar and who gets einish? A shegig doesn't get einish. Why? Because there's no einish? Because he's shegig.
So v'nisach l'chol am ki b'shgaga, like we say.
It's even worse than that. We're all tinnik shenishba, which is not even a shegig.
Every single, even an Orthodox Jew living in Borough Park is a Tinnik Shenishba that grew up? Why is that? Like, how's that possible?
Because they never saw a Beis HaMikdash, and they never heard a Navi, and they don't know what Kedusha means. They think eating cholent is holy. I mean, what do we know? And you don't even know that the Eivishter needs the mitzvah? You're potter from everything.
Exactly. You heard it here first. but just again, I don't want to be any disrespectful, but they would say, growing up, and going to Babav and Bells and Chassidish Chinuch, Altar Sakoidesh, and learning about Yiddishkeit and from parents, and then they're Averis and they're not responsible. They're not going to be, punished.
I wouldn't want to go in that direction, because then it'll turn out that the only people deserving punishment are the Charedim. Not anybody else.
Oh, I can understand the rest of the people are Tinnik Shenishba.
Right.
But I'm saying somebody
so
who grew up in a frum house.
That only the people in a frum house get punished.
Because they know better. They should know better.
They should, right?
But why don't they know better? Besides the fact that they don't think any of this is necessary to God, but they know that there's reward and punishment.
Okay. So what's going to be the answer? So every frum Jew is going to get punished because he's frum. He's getting punished for being frum.
So it turns into.
Yeah. The answer is no. They do a lot of mitzvahs also. No. So there's schar and there's einish. So if you do a lot of mitzvahs, you don't get punished for the aveda. Adam niden acharubei. Yeah, but he drove on Shabbos. What's the rest of the story? How much tzedakah did he give? How much mesiras nefesh did he have to not marry a shiksa? What are you? You're so shallow. That's not schar v'einish. That's just einish. Because you're in a bad mood.
Well, there's some big no-nos. Like things could overwhelming. Aren't there all these quotes in the Torah? Leilam, a person should look through his actions, and there seem to be a lot of quotes that saying.
So first of all, that only applies to yourself.
Right. Okay.
You'd never do that to somebody else. Yefashvish b'masov. That's horrible.
And
the other thing is, not every suffering is punishment. There is punishment, that fits the crime.
So there is punishment?
Yeah, but it's little things that you really did know or could know or should know or.
Oh, so I'm saying, so people say it's not a blanket statement that God can't punish any Jew today for anything that they've.
He has no reason to be angry. That he can't punish.
I'm saying, but he does punish, even for little things.
That's what the Gemara says, right?
Right.
But if you see that you're suffering a lot, you should check out what you're doing wrong. So first of all, even there, who says that you're being punished because of it? If you see you're suffering, use it to do tshuva.
Okay.
But the suffering that we're talking about, way beyond any punishment.
Like Hamas, Holocaust, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there could be like a little punishment, like
So little punishment means something like this. The Yidden in Eretz Yisrael were very divided, and they were protesting, and they were tearing down the government. Did that encourage the enemy to attack? For sure.
Yeah.
So the attack is punishment for arguing?
no.
Of course not. That's the punishment for an argument? What, are you crazy?
But it was just allowed them to have an opportunity.
If you stick your hand in fire, you'll get burnt. It's not a punishment.
I was like, opens a whole other discussion, like especially around holiday season time, you see like these things, about Santa Claus. He knows when you've been naughty, he knows when you've been nice. And I think all of us sort of put that on God. He knows when you've been naughty, he knows when you've been nice. And then inevitably stuff happens throughout the day. Some things are good and some things are painful. And you start thinking to yourself, like, is he punishing me? So
I'm saying what you should stop and think is, are you punishing him? That doesn't bother you. The question is only whether he'll punish you back. That's
right, which is the point of the whole conversation, because punish him, he's omnipotent, perfect, omnipresent, he's controlling this whole situation. Like, that is the last thing that your Orthodox Jew in Borough Park or Williamsburg or maybe even Crown Heights are thinking, that like we're trying to totally shift the perspective, which sounds like that's a major shift.
Yeah.
And it should take around 20 years?
No, it should take about 20 minutes.
I remember you were saying like an idea takes 20 years to...
Oh. Even quoting the Noda B'Yehuda, Mo Hashem Elokecha she'il me'imach. Just take it seriously. That's all. No deep perushin. The Eibishter is asking, because he doesn't need it.
Kiyim L'Yira. Like, so how does almost every Orthodox Jew that I speak to, how do they, like, if it's so obvious, Im B'chukoisai Telech, Halavai, like he sounds, every word of Chumash and Tanya and everything seems to be dripping with this vulnerability, and he's begging, and everybody seems to miss it. And then one rabbi saying what people say, like how does everyone miss it?
It's not everyone. It's the yeshivas. Everyone is taught that. Not everyone comes to the same conclusion on their own.
Right. It's the people at the top.
Yes. And that, I think, if I had to find a limud schus, is because we're trying to get so far away from Christianity that we went overboard. Loi Adamhu means he's more than a mensch, not less. The real pain is the Lubavitchers. What have you been doing all these years? We do mitzvahs for no reason? Ah, that's great. We're great. We do mitzvahs for nothing. You're out of your mind? What? Now, that is really pathetic. You tell any intelligent kid, he's out of here. What a stupid thing to say. What is he even thinking? We do mitzvahs for no reason? What was he taught? He sat in yeshiva all these years.
So when like the Frierdiker Rebbe, I think, said Vedata Moskva, it says that he used to say it, I think, often to be mitaher the aver, which seems to sound exactly like you're living in a Christian country with that Christian atmosphere and vibe. Like, we have to bring it back. This is personal. And I was by a bar mitzvah recently, and the kid said the mimer, but before the kid said the mimer, everyone says the hachanan again, the preparation. Like, why do you have to sing a preparation again? Just let the kid launch right into it. Because, as it hit me, based on what I've learned, is because it's so personal what's going to be revealed in the mimer, you just can't just like launch into it. You have to get yourself into this almost macabre mode that you're receptive. Because most people, when they're busy throughout the day, they can't be sensitive to hear something so personal. Like, they're busy. So you get yourself into that in order.
I think you should start with this kid, whoever this guy is. We do mitzvahs for no reason. Ask them if they agree with that. And then tell them they're idiots. For no reason? Such a chutzpah to say that. The Eibishter comes down to Har Sinai and begs you, and you're doing it for no reason? What a chutzpah is that?
But it's the ultimate beauty if they're doing it for no reason, for their benefit. Meaning, I'm not doing it for any...
So talk like a man.
Right, exactly. For his benefit.
We do it for no reason. So where is Avodas Hashem? You're in Eved Hashem? So when he wants something, you have no reason to do it? What is this language? What is going on in the yeshivas? If people find it too heavy and too high, and fine, so say, ich verstehe nicht, and go home. But don't reduce the Eibishter to a joke.
I guess this is part of the danger when Chassidus started being revealed, when you're going to start allow people to start sort of nitpicking at levels and Ein Sof and talking about God. This is sort of the danger that this is way above us, and anything that you think you can know is oversimplifying it. And is that part of the example, with Alter Rebbe, that they saw Chassidus lying in the street, and the prince and the son is sick, and they pour a lot down, but a lot of it spills out. But hopefully a little drop of
MS
gets in. Is that?
Yeah. Look, the Baal Shem Tov said that the Anoshim Pshutim are closer to the Eibishter than the Talmidei Chachamim. So is he saying don't be a Talmid Chacham? He's saying learn until you get to the level that the Ish Poshet sees and feels. What is that? The Eibishter himself. But get there. Don't stop in the middle. This woman whose kids came out of... they were kidnapped. And among the hostages that came back were her son and daughter. Her husband is still there. When the kids came out, she jumped up on a chair. You saw the clip?
No.
She jumps up on a chair and she says, Yesh Elokim! Did she mean Ein Sof before the Tzimtzum or after the Tzimtzum? She meant Shem Elokim, not Shem Havaya. What did she mean? She meant the Eibishter himself. And for that moment, worth everything.
Well, because he saved her day?
She recognized him. She's grateful to him.
even if her husband is still in captivity.
Amazing.
Right.
That's another point. But when she says Yesh Elikim, who is she talking about?
Him himself. And then the flip side of that is people that didn't make it out, killed. Yesh Elikim.
I don't like it, but definitely Yesh Elikim. Yeah.
So, just...
There are
Okay.
two fundamental questions, which you don't have to answer every pasuk and every medrash and every... You say the Eibishter wants, but he doesn't need. Plus, what is he, a child? Why would he want something he doesn't need? If you can answer that question, I'll talk to you. If not, case closed. So either he wants and needs, or he doesn't need and he doesn't want, and you can go do whatever you want. And the other one is this kid. We do mitzvahs for nothing? We do mitzvahs because he wants. So it doesn't matter to you how much he wants, who really wants. Does he really want this, or just wants to punish you?
Well, he seems to be saying if what you're saying is so obvious, this should be in the first parak of Tanya or the first Sikha in the Sikhas, like it's still so obscure, this idea that our mitzvahs are absolutely infinitely necessary to Atzmos. Why does everybody else, I mean, this seemed to be his point, why does everybody else who learns Chassidus Chabad and Mashpiyim are either not aware of it, don't agree with it, or you have to sort of fight with them to even, like, that was his point, like, how does that happen?
What's the difference? Is it right or is it wrong?
It was just a red flag, I guess he was saying.
Why doesn't Tanya begin with, yes, there is a God?
Which, in the beginning of Tanya, how does it start off? Mashbiyim oisei tzadik v'al Russia. Sounds pretty necessary to God that they even have to make you swear and they give you the
Or it proves that it's all about you. But why doesn't it start with, there is a God?
Well, it's even before you were born, so it's not even about you because you're not born. So before you're born, I mean, before there is a you, tehi tzadik v'al Russia. It does say it in the beginning of Tanya.
It says it before that, Tanya. On the Sharblat it says. Anyway, that's a silly question.
Which just about the Sharblat, part of my whole journey with this is, like it says there, like, for whatever, like, hearing this from you 12 years ago when we first started giving classes to teenagers in Crown Heights and going through the yeshiva system my whole life, I never heard anything about Eibusher needing a mitzvah. It was always like, I have to be a Chassidus Shabachar and Erlich Shabachar, and you have to daven, but you have to. And then when I heard it for the first time that this is necessary to the Eibusher, like, I was like, wow, I never, and then I started speaking to people, and they either vehemently disagreed, calling it kfira, that he's perfect in Atzmos and Vensach V'Merdet on a certain level, yes, it does matter, or Teva Tov Laheit, if he wanted to do you a kindness, this whole Judaism thing is a self-help program, like any other book you'd see in Barnes & Noble, like, here, you want to live the best life? Here, it's called Judaism. Litzarf Ben Abrius, and then I was like, oh my God, nobody knows this, and not only do they not know it, they disagree with it. Okay, you do it. So I like, but there are certain steps you can't skip steps, like working through it, like we're doing now. Is
why are people so closed? Is the question. They're so